The Blazing Generation Initiative is here at it again. Welcome, distinguished guests and trailblazers, to the red carpet of the Eagles Assembly 2025, themed Maximizing Time and Youthfulness. We are about to have an amazing and impactful conversation with different guests from different fields to fill us in on the topic maximizing time and youthfulness. And I am your host, Abigail Adeye Mena, with an amazing, my amazing sweetheart, Yash. Welcome, girl. So I will want her to introduce herself properly to us. Let's hear you.
Yes, of course. My name is Viash Chukwudozie. I hope you're wondering what is happening here. Well, today it's all about Eagles Assembles Event 2025.
Yes.
And I'm definitely sure you'll be wondering what is Eagles Event. Well, you have to stick with us for you to see exactly what is happening and an amazing and exciting scenes capturing events from this coast.
So make sure you stick with us from now to the end of this event. Thank you.
Mr. Obina Agape, Media Consultant, CEO, Royalty Signation. Please put your hands together for him. Please, welcome. Please sit. We also have Mrs. Beg your pardon, please. Honorable Francisca Linda Ezenago, please. Let's put our hands together to welcome her. Arinze and barrister in the making. Barrister in equity. Barrister in equity. Esther Chinodu. Please put your hands together for them.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to believe that we'll be as quick as possible. The essence of this panel is to further discuss some of the issues that has been raised. My name is Comrade Alebunam Abraham Arinze, and I will be doing this with
Next window.
very sincerely, I appreciate your presence in this very moment. Heavily representing Comrade Matthew Obunneme, the CEO of Chairman Elevated P Group. All right, and that's Comrade Izuchukwu Osakwe. The first time we actually met, during my mission was on the PSTV or was it radio with that with a number of things. And then I have Barrister Francisca Linda Ezenago. Thank you for being on this platform.
Good evening, everybody. I wouldn't want to waste much of our time. Just get straight to the first question I want to ask. So we've been talking about youth, maximizing time and youthfulness and everything since today. And I've been wondering, who is really a youth? Like, I know there's a saying that life starts at 30, and permits me to say in jurisprudence, an adult is from 18 years. There are some laws, there are some countries that you want to enter, and the constitution and the law provide that if you are 21 years of age, then you are an adult. Now I want to ask, who is a youth? Is a youth someone within the age of 20 to 40 years, or a youth someone within the age of 21 to 30 years? Now, is someone of 50 years still a youth? Who is really? What is the concept of this youthfulness? Do you understand the question?
Thank you very much. This is a very great opportunity to be here and to contribute to what is going on here. When the question comes, who is a youth? I think being a youth starts from the age of, let's say, from 18 to 35 thereabout. That is what is considered a youth, I think, constitutionally. So, and being a youth is not really limited to that age. There's something they say being a youth at heart. You can be 50 and still consider yourself to be a youth at heart. In the sense that whatsoever that concerns the youth, you take joy in that, and you derive joy in making sure that youthfulness is not wasted. So I believe, being a youth at heart doesn't have age limit. Thank you.
Okay. Just to add to what he said, all protocols to be observed. I want to stand on the existing protocols. I'm going to stick with what he said earlier, but I'll take it from this other way. For me, being a youth is a mindset. For me, being a youth is a thing of the mind. It's really not restricted to the age bracket. Yes, it runs within that age bracket, but basically for me, it's a thing of the mind. It's the mindset, the resilience, and it's a thing of the mind. Thank you.
Standing on the existing protocol, when we talk about youth, we talk about strength. Because let's say from 18 to 18 to 35. But when you say this person is a youth, that means this person has a strength. So we can't limit it to a time frame, because Satoni Elumelu, I normally use him as an example because he's still strong. If you come out to work out with him, I think he can beat most of us on that. So we call him, he's a youth. You understand? So the youth is strength. Once you have the strength, you're a youth.
Okay, very early on medical club. I'm happy that we all niched on something very essential. Marissa talked about the strength of the mind being one of the key factors to determine who a youth is, and we are talking about strength. And Comrade also talked about numbers. What are, with respect to mindset orientation, let me start with you. What are the predominant issues or challenges that you think in this generation the youth face? What mountains should be surmounted for the youth to find a tangible expression of their youthfulness?
Okay, when it comes to that, I think the first thing is identity. I'm still a youth, but I think I'm in a generation of, the older youths, because I've moved around. The now youth has this mindset of identity. I think during our time, you don't have things like what's it called? A man trying to be a woman trying to be a man. It's an identity crisis. You understand? So, because most of this happens when you move out to people, you are interacting with people, and this person is saying, I want to go and change to be being a woman. A man is saying, when you don't know your own identity, you understand, you'll be confused. And that is the problem of this generation, the identity crisis. So because once you know this is my identity, this is who I am, I think from there, that's when you can start. Like Sadisi was saying, one of the things he wanted to do in life, not just to be someone that, he said he didn't want to study going to the moon. He just wanted to make his parents proud. Even if it means sweeping the ground, he's doing it well and his parents are proud of him. So he had that identity from the first time. So that's my observation.
Okay, now, before I get to the rest of the resource persons, what would you prefer as measures to call and address that?
For me, it has always been God and going back to church.
God and going back to church?
Yes, because the thing is this, we have people nowadays that tell you church is calm, God is calm. Most of us came from the church. The church shaped our mindset. The church gave us identity. You understand? In fact, look at the most successful people around. They came from the church. Nowadays we have a lot of church crisis and all, but the fact is we can never undermine the importance of coming from a good church, because that's where your identity is built. That's where you have to get this orientation that life is beyond what you see. So if you have that foundation, in fact the foundation is God and a good church. That's what.
See, you know, that's the issue with journalists. He just talked about church. I would have wanted you to talk about the challenges of the youth. Maybe for want of time, I'll be mashing them all. Churches, should we outrightly anchor God, essentially? Church, are you invariably saying that every church, by whatever name, religious name, stands out as an institution to run to be modeled youth?
Well, if you don't have a foundation, you are most likely to fail. Now, church is our first foundation. Every individual in this country always have a background. It's either you are a Christian or you are a Muslim. You know, we didn't choose to be Christians. We were born Christians. If you were born to a Muhammad, you might have been a Muslim, and that would have been your background. That would have been what would mold you, your thought process and everything. That's going to be what you will grow with. So we cannot do away with church. And now, identifying a good church is a thing. And another thing is discerning which doctrine to follow. Because these are the things that build one. These are the things that mold you to become whoever you want to be. So if you don't have a good church background, I don't believe that person is going to go far. Because it is that church that molds you. You know, way back then we were, we grew up, there was no much of these Pentecostal churches way back then. It's either you're an Anglican or you are a Catholic or Methodist and, the Orthodox churches, But in between, those churches found a way, to inculcate most of the habits the youths have today now. There are programs for the youth because they found the need to nurture the youth and give them background and foundations that will make them grow. I don't believe anybody discarding, the gathering that reverences God as somebody that will go far. So that's my take on that.
Yes. All right, thank you so much. I'm very sad. Both of them already talked about church. Let's talk about the family here. And I would like to ask, between church and the family, which one do you think that plays more role foundationally in terms of upbringing? Now, is it possible for a child with, let me say, bad or poor parental upbringing to, I don't know how many, maybe through university or something like that, found himself in a better church to change from the upbringing or from the training his family gave to him?
Thank you. The very first environment a child needs is his family. For me, I feel the basic is the family. Even those that go to church, growing up, my mom was the one that bundled us to Block Rosary. So my mom was the one that said, I should not meet you in this house by 5 p.m. When you come back from school, you take your siesta and I should not meet you when it's time for Block Rosary. So my mom made it a point of duty to ensure that we had the church as part of our upbringing. It did a lot for us. There was no angle of church you wouldn't meet us. I have 5 siblings, we are 6. There was no part of church you did not meet us. I had my brothers were ushers, we call them wardens in Catholic Church. They were altar servers. I carried the Legion of Mary on my head like no man's business. So before we went to school, the family was there. My dad wasn't much of a church person. He's one of these Ukadinobi kind of syndrome kind of people. But he never slept when it came to morals. He was hard on morals. When my dad was coming back home, we had an anthem. We do bang, 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 meaning the soldier is on his way. Everybody adjust. If you are watching TV, look at the channel. If it's time for his news, you should shift. So there are the family, I would not underestimate the role the family plays when it comes to upbringing. You know, what youth face these days are pressure, influence, company. And if you're not taught, you rightly said, identity. These are the foundation of forming your identity. If you cannot overcome peer pressure, you don't know where you're coming from. By the time you stay outside and remember the house you're coming from while growing up, your brain will reset. Do you understand? So I was privileged to should I say enjoy the Ajebo lifestyle and still hit the Paco one when I did not want to. So my dad was that kind of person that would give you the best of educations, and also I attended the best schools in our environment. I went to the best schools, and my dad was not, if you're not getting the admission, you're going straight up to a private school. So I also attended Benson Idahosa University, and if anyone had googled that school, you know what it is like when it comes to morals, and that is the church playing his role there. And you see that when you have this foundation, it will be difficult for peer pressure to penetrate. When you're in the midst of people and they're discussing something that your mother told you that it is very wrong, you will go back and you go and think again. So for me, it is the family first, then the church, very important, then your school. Those are the basic foundation to, should I say, to molding and shaping a young person, a youth, so that you know where your identity is and stand with your identity wherever you are. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to be very quick. This will be the last question I'm going to ask. Like His Excellency rightly mentioned, next time we're not going to be modeling it up. However, I'm going to reach out to some of us with respect to our TV program, Spill It, that will have time to extensively deal on issues that revolves around the youths. What would be your final word to the youths of the generation? I was telling them when this program began, sorry I'm going to say it again. See Charlie Kirk. I watched the clip yesterday, a snippet. I cried. Not just emotionally, I literally cried. As much as I know, that guy's words and fight is against the mindset of this generation. Bearing no arms and stuff. How could somebody be so obsessed with killing him? That's how far this generation has come. So what would be your final word to this generation of youths?
One of the most important things I always tell young people when I have the opportunity, young people like me, is learn to serve. Because nowadays we have a set of young people that they don't want to serve. In fact, a young person has met me and said, at my age, I'm still answering SARS to somebody. I said, at my age, I'm answering SARS to a engineer, not somebody. And I did not do it. I had my business running when I met him, and I told him I want to be a mentee. He's a young person, he's a young engineer, he's just 40. But what he has achieved, it's a milestone. So, but young people nowadays, they don't want to do the SASA because they want to, like, I don't know who said it here. When you talk, I think it was you said, when they have the little lights, they are now loud. You understand? That's the problem of it. But when the whole thing, I think his worship was saying about the Anambra State House of Assembly, bring back the Maboi stuff. I think that's where this thing should go on, because when you serve, you learn. And when you serve, you are learning the process. That process is what is going to take you for a lifetime. And that's what I'm thank you.
Okay, I would say youthfulness is like, the boarding time. Like when you're boarding a plane, if you miss your flight before, you will understand the pain, the pain behind it. If most times we wonder why people, you are asked to check in, like 30 to 1 hour before time. It is because of the process. Because if you miss the process, if you don't understand the process, rather, you miss your flight. As a youth, we always believe that there is always time, but there is no time. It's just a short window. If we understand the process, we will never miss our flight. That's just it.
Okay, my final word will be find your purpose and dwell with it. Um, um, I always like to use myself as an example. I wanted to study French, and maybe by now I'll not be sitting down. You know where I'll be. Okay. But somehow my parents helped me find my purpose. And I said, no, you don't do it. You know, this was your wife, no, I can't engage. Like she didn't even understand the language I was speaking. You know, and that was it. And when I started loving it. I started doing it. And most times another thing with this generation, like he said, I think we are the older ones now. This generation, I'm not part of generation Z, I refuse, I'm a millennial. And I think it's better that way. Okay. The problem with the generation Z is that they want it quick. They just want it quick. They don't, like you said, process. And you keep hearing school na scam. The people say school na scam are having PhD. And you are sitting in your house and you are saying school na scam. You know, you don't want the process. You don't want to be consistent. You don't want to keep doing something from the little, you know. I started doing internship as far back as 2012, 2013, you know. Any lawyer I see, I'll just meet you, you know. It has shaped me into the person I am now. And like he said, I'm grateful to the Anambra State House of Assembly for revitalizing the 1 point thing, because service plays a lot. If you find your purpose, you know the lane you want to follow, you'll be consistent, and you build a niche for yourself. You were talking about Charles, and I was like, I don't even want to go there. Charles founded Turning Point USA in 2012, and he was barely 19. He was a voice right from teen. He has been a voice. His death did not just, as we didn't just lose, we lost the voice, we lost the movement, and whatever that would be, it hurts that people, voices like this are not protected. So Charles found his purpose very early. Turning Point came in 2019. Mike Zuckerberg founded Facebook very early. It doesn't mean you must make it very early. You can still find your purpose at 30. When Dr. PCO was talking, he told us he traveled with his family for the first time in his 30s. And I was struck. Okay. I attended a seminar, and I also heard that was in July. We know NLP and the rest. She said, that she started finding purpose when she was in school. And she started that. She was the first SVG president in UniJOS. I don't know if you know of NLP. She's a voice of activism in Nigeria. So you must not make it at 19. Yours might not be 18. But when your morning comes, is your morning. And you cannot find your morning if you're not consistent. You cannot find your morning if you don't find a purpose for yourself and build on that purpose. So I will encourage every young person to find your purpose. Enjoy that purpose. Build that purpose. And stand for what you believe in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you so much, Comrade. Is it Chukwurite? Is it Chukwurite? Thank you, Mr. Obega. We really appreciate your time. In fact, I've learned a lot, not enough, because you cannot stop learning. So thank you so much for making that time to teach us these things. And I want to encourage us that we shouldn't just be hearers. Even the Bible says, do not be hearers, but also be doers, right? Yes. So, as you've learned everything I've said today, they spoke from experience. I don't think any of them came with any scripted something, not like I was looking through my phone. So they have spoken to us from the experience, and the only way you can get better is when you put these things into practice. Is when you go back there and go back to your calendar and how would I put it, like re-examine yourself. That is the way you can get better. Thank you so much, everybody, for this wonderful session.
you.